Hello, everyone, and welcome to Session 3 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle. My name is Randy Henderson, and I am one of the Black Feminist Reading Circle members of this online group. This session runs from January 20th until June 2nd and includes 2 week-long breaks. Our democratically selected reading material is Harriet A. Washington's book, Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present. Our book group meets each Tuesday evening from 6:30 to 8 on the Google Plus Hangouts on Air platform. You may find the Global Black Feminist Reader Circle on Google Plus, YouTube, and Facebook, and always feel free to join us in reading our story together.
Welcome everyone to meeting number 5 of the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle in our reading of Medical Apartheid, The Dark History of Medical Experimentation on Black Americans from Colonial Times to the Present by Harriet Washington. I'll be your moderator tonight. Georgette Moses is my name, and I'll ask each one of our members tonight to go around and introduce themselves. Let us start with Mr. Joel.
Hey, how you doing? I'm calling in from Charleston, South Carolina. Most people call me JJ. Just glad to be here. God bless. God bless.
Thank you, Joel. And Venita?
Hi, my name is Rita Walker, and I'm joining you from Connecticut. Welcome. And God bless, Joel.
Thank you, Venita. And last but not least, Michelle.
Hello, everybody. I am Michelle Odom. I'm in Brooklyn, New York, and I'm happy to be here. This session runs until June 9th, and anyone that still wants to join in, please do so.
Excuse me, chapter 4, the surgical theater. In this chapter, Harriet Washington explores in detail the reason why African Americans justly saw hospitals and medical schools as places of terror, violence, and shame, and not of medical care. Black bodies was considered clinical material with neither legal rights to control their most intimate bodily functions, avoid degrading public displays, or seek redress for being ill-used or murdered at the hands of medical professionals and their students. These physicians practice invasive and surgical procedures on interned slaves and free African Americans to explore new techniques, display their surgical skills or lack thereof, and boost their reputation among their peers. Washington notes that there were a few voices in protest to these abuses. The black physicians James McCune Smith and W. Montague Cobb regularly defended the human rights of African Americans. In 1894, Rudolph Matus, MD, published a 125-page surgical analysis exposing the faulty logic of the scientific racism that allowed the use of treatments devised, adopted, or rejected based on black bodies for their white patients. The availability of black bodies, poor bodies, and other desperate souls as clinical material could make or break these medical establishments, and were essential in meeting their students' enrollment goals. It was all about training, never the healing.
I'm going to go ahead and read C, Clinical Objects of Wonder. The clinical display of a person and their illness to physicians as part of their education and training took several forms: in sick wards, surgical suites, operating theaters, on autopsy tables, and in pathology jars. The subjugation and degradation of Black and poor bodies would continue. They were inspected, examined, and questioned about their most intimate habits, lifestyle, and conditions by professors as well as students. The disrespect included speculation about the sexuality, encouraging more scientific racism. Physicians were especially attracted to physical deformities and other clinical curiosities, hoping to immortalize their discoveries in medical journals and promote their academic careers. Between 1830 and 1855, Southern medical schools were in hot competition for students. The Medical College of South Carolina based its excellence on the number of available cadavers and opportunities for gaining anatomical knowledge. The Medical College of South Carolina openly stated that its sole purpose was to promote the interests of the medical education within their native state and city. This attitude governed every action, every treatment, or withholding of treatment to those ends. Question number 8. Washington says this hunger for Black bodies was simply a reflection of the social realities of the slaveholding South. Do you agree? And how do you explain the same voracious appetite in the North? Number 9. How much do you think holding Black people captive in circuses and zoos contributed to the ease with which physicians could fall back on scientific racism to help them distance themselves from their patients of color? And question 10, was there a particular medical anecdote in this chapter that you just found totally unbelievable or horrendous?
Okay. Venita, have Venita and them gone?
I'm
I think
here.
they got cut.
Well,
Oh, okay.
you know, the passage I found particularly horrendous was the story about the doctor carrying around a piece of dead nigger, and it's spelled nigger, like you can hear that.
Yeah, like cigar, nigga.
Nigar. Yes, I
And
remember
this,
that for sure.
this is the medical professional. Okay?
Yes.
Well, you
Yes,
know,
that's how they have
well,
their fun.
the Medical College of South Carolina, that's the renowned MUSC here in Charleston, South Carolina, which my mentor and friend, he was the head of the Department of Diversity. So that's that college that he said people didn't want to walk by, and still you don't want to walk by. And that's a college that was built in the impoverished neighborhood. It's not impoverished anymore. They kicked all the Black folk out of there, most of them anyway.
Well,
But yeah.
there's no bodies anymore, so there's no need to have you there anymore.
I don't know. We got homeless. So we
No,
don't know.
you said to me that before there was a lot of impoverished Blacks out, and I'm saying that's because they don't need your bodies as much as they used to.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
You know.
Yeah.
Why not?
One thing I did want to mention, I want to talk about is number 8. It says, Washington says this hunger for Black bodies was simply a reflection of social reality of slaveholding South. Do you agree? How do you explain the same vicarious appetite in the North? Well, you have to bear in mind that most of the Southern gentlemen, doctor butchers, were educated in the Ivy League schools in the North.
I think you're right. I think they came.
They were Northerners, so why would it surprise anyone? You know, there were more bodies in the South that they could use because there were less Black folks in the North than there were in the South, of course. So why would it be surprising when most of them were educated at the Harvards and the Yales and the northern schools? They just went down south because there was more black folks, you know, to harvest. I mean, here you had to run around trying to catch a few here and there, but down there, you know, as he said, they were, you know, niggers were cheaper than cats or more readily available than cats. So it's not surprising to me. It's just the availability. That's simply, if there was more up here, believe me, you would have more up it here. If it was more on the West Coast, you'd have more of it there. It's just availability.
Question 9, it was interesting too. I think what Michelle had said earlier, you know, they had a whole industry of making people, if you can make the blacks look less than human, then who cares what happened to them? They're not human. They're, you know, they're just dogs. You understand what I'm saying? They're not human, so they don't have a soul. You know, it goes to that whole thing. So, you know, like you said, you know, someone said before, if you take care of, you know, compassion just messes up the money. Okay, just messes up the money.
And reading this stuff also makes me think about, not that I didn't before, but you know, the way we treat animals, you know, and how much do we accept, you know, putting animals down to die, and some of the ways they're kept in pounds and things like that, and hunted and killed off. That and we accept it because that's the way it is. There's some country though, I think it's like Bolivia or I don't know, South America, I think, that recently made, I think it was dolphins, gave them the legal rights of humans. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Wow.
No.
Well, they smarter than we are. That's for damn sure.
Now speak for yourself, Joel.
I was about to say that.
Speak for yourself, Joel.
Okay.
I said speak for yourself, Joel.
Do y'all know how? Do you know how intelligent dolphins are?
Yeah.
Super intelligent.
Well, they're more intelligent than some of us, but not all of us, Joel.
Well, I don't know.
I know they're smarter than a damn 5th grader. I know that.
Oh, you make me smile. You are just too much.
Well, yeah, you know, but I mean, we just kill all this stuff off, we'll experiment on these animals, you know, eat them, you know, and like Joel said, you know, in 100 years, 200 years, 1,000 years, you know, are humans going? We can just go on and assume, Joel, that humans are going to be looking back on this era and saying, "What savages?
What the hell? What the hell were they thinking about?" You know, they were. You know, it's like, I wonder how did they manage even to put a plane in the sky? Because I look at civilizations as such as, you know, what in our span of this particular civilization that they're going to look at as being somewhat intelligent. One is, you know, maybe the invention of electricity, and the second thing will be flight, and that's it. But in between, they're gonna wonder, what in the hell were these people thinking about? You know, all this other stuff. What they thinking about? But you know.
Yeah, not much.
Yeah.
You have to wait for 20 years. I'm sitting here today wondering what we're thinking about. I'm talking about 20 years. No, every day I get up in the morning and I wonder, what are people thinking about? Every time I get in my car, I wonder, what are people thinking about?
Yeah.
No, so no, we don't have to wait that long, Joel.
You're right.
Definitely wondering what is on folks' mind today. And Michelle, I've had those conversations briefly. Actually long ones at times. What are people thinking?